Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about compost and why it's so important for your survival plans, and not only for short term, but also for long term and even homestead like me and self-reliance. So, we're going to talk about the hows, the whys, and things you can do that you even never considered if you haven't heard about it. And these are the things that I tested out, and I'm going to show you to them so you can learn from them and so you can implement them in your own survival plans. So before we start doing that, if you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link in the description to my book called Bloody Crosses, and the second part, the Jason murders. So these are all if you are interested in that, it's in Dutch, so take a look. All right, compost. We all know the compost is something like this, that you just have one of those compost squares, and it's simple. You put anything in it, it will compost, and you use it for your plants. It's not always that simple, because you cannot just throw anything around in it. You can and throw in food scraps, yes, as long as they are, how do I say this? As long as they are of if they don't contain fat or oils, because these will make the compost not well suited for planting. So those things you cannot throw in them. I would say you can throw in scraps of different plant types. You can even throw in meat if they are boiled, but not if they are or fresh, or but not if they are baked or fried in oil or fats. So that's something that you need to watch out for. You can throw in bones for some extra calcium, this and that, and yeah, those will be sufficient. But what I'm always doing in my compost is, and that is the thing that started it all, I'm going into the cage of the guinea pigs. So this is all where it all started with, my guinea pig farm. And yeah, like I said in the previous videos, you can do a lot of things with guinea pigs. You can have meat from them, you can have their manure, pelts, bones, you can get vitamins and minerals from organ meat and that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can use it for bartering later on. But the question is, what do you do with the compost? Because yeah, guinea pigs, they shit constantly. So I used it all as compost in my garden, but there are more things you can do with it. First of all, guinea pigs, their manure is like horses. They only eat greens and sometimes a carrot, and yeah, that's all they put in, and they don't have that much ammonia in their pee, for example, that it will, like in contrary to a cow, that it will get too much ammonia, and that's also bad for your compost. So you get straw, you get manure, and you can get yeah, the like the if I got guinea pig skin or pelt that I cannot consume or process, I throw them in the compost, because the hairs also give calcium in the natural way to the compost. Yeah. Another thing you can do with compost is, I don't know if it's too light here because I'm going to make a video about it. These are my blocks of dried pressed manure, and these are basically fuel blocks that I use in my wood stove. So yeah, you don't even need how do you say this, to grow wood or have another source of fuel. You can use dried pressed manure from your guinea pigs, and also from the compost, to use as fuel blocks. In my case, I'm gonna make a video about this anyway. I put them in a bucket with holes in them, a stone on top of it. You mix it with water, you press it down, and after a few months you got a fully dried brick, and that way you can process it. Another way you can process your compost, I'm gonna use my shovel. We're going by the chickens now, and chickens are very important, I would say, for your compost. As you can see, I throw my compost right here with the chickens, and they will start to scatter it all around, so the dirt get mixed with the compost over a long time. And another thing that is handy about this is, because it's manure and composting, it attracts a lot of insects, which my chickens can eat. So it's a more healthier diet for them, and they can get busy in that way. The only downside is your chickens need to be of a good race, so to say, because if you got very delicate sort of chickens, they can get sick or get infections, especially if you got too much chickens and not that many roosters, so to say. So this is the part that I used in my garden now. And another thing that you can use this compost, as you can see, this is now the ground layer, and this is the layers of compost. And if you're going to see, I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but these are full of worms right now. And these worms are very handy for several things. Like, first of all, feed for the chickens. Second, it's so much better for your compost if you're going to use it in a garden, because these worms are going to make the ground more looser. They will compost it even more, so it will make your ground more fertile that you use in your garden. Another thing you can use these worms for are to fish for bait, for example. So that's another source of food, not only for the chickens but also for you. And in a last desperation, as you can see, this is just one clump of compost, and there are, I think, hundreds of worms in this alone. So if you're really desperate, you can eat the worms because they contain fats and proteins. Of course, you need to boil them so you don't get any infections or bad bacteria inside of you, or fungi or parasites. But they are a desperate survival food, I would say. So yeah, that's another good thing about compost. You also let the chickens do their work, and yeah, you can scrape it off and put it after the summer, put it another layer back on, and yeah, you can use it as a vicious circle to go around. And what is too much, I use as fuel bricks. So I used to have the problem that I had too much compost. So yeah, but now that I can use it as fuel blocks for my wood stove, I'm going to make a video about this anyway. But one block of dried manure would even stay hot 3/4 of an hour to 1 full hour, and it was still really hot, and it doesn't smell that bad when it's dried. So that's another thing you can use it for. A way that I also use compost is, as you can see, it's not as nice as it used to be, but what I do is, because now I'm repurposing the pot ground that I used for last harvest. But what I do now is, I put a layer of dirt, a layer of manure and hay, and I do it I just change the layers on and on again. So when the rain goes down, insects, worms, fiddle around, it will make the ground, even if it was fully depleted, fully fertile again. And you can use it in your garden. For example, what I'm doing now these days are, I have here my sieve, I have my pots that I'm going to use, and what I do is the compost that is fully used by the chickens or from my compost squares, I sieve them with a layer of dirt, a layer of compost, and that way you get a ratio of one compost for every in every fourth of dirt. And it's not only the compost but also the worms make it fertile, insects that are inside of it, and as you can see, there's also a lot of pieces of hay, grass still left, and those will create smaller holes when they even compost even more. They will help keep water for a longer time inside of them, which is also so better for if you're going to do some gardening. And yeah, it will keep it I don't it keep it into a vicious circle where you replenish the nutrients inside of the soil is perhaps what I'm trying to say. So if you everything that you saw to this day to what I said before, that's all in a vicious circle. I have not bought anything from the outside except for the pots, to be honest. So yeah, if you want to be self-reliant, you can do it without always going to stores. As you can see, I'm doing vertical gardening right now, and I must say they are very potent. Uh, I think it's going to be a great harvest because now already they are uh, all my blue potatoes are growing very good. There's only one pot that is still a little bit of a problem, but no less. What you also can do with the hay and the straw that is left in your manure is, as you can see, you put them, I don't know if you see it, you put them on top of the soil. In that case, there is still some composting going around, and you make sure that no sunlight can reach the the soil itself because of this layer of hay and manure and compost. Not compost, but the hay and the straw, yes, that I missed. But the potatoes still grow from inside out through it. So that way you will not get weeds that you will need to plug out. So that's another good thing that you can do. I'm experimenting a little bit with this, but what I see is I'm very pleased with it. So another thing I would say that is good about working with compost is you will get dirty. And what do I mean by that? You will build your immune system, and if you have children, that is already known. Children who work on a farm or come in contact with dirt a lot, they will get a healthier immune system, less allergies during growing up. And I think if you are doing gardening, you have chickens, guinea pigs, something like that, you let them work inside of it so they will build an immune system, and that's and also could be also part of a survival plan, so to say. So how long should you compost? Usually you can compost, uh, you need to compost it for at least a year depending on what it is, but with the manure and the hay and the straw from the guinea pigs, it's usually a year because I keep it in good natural conditions, like I said, with the chickens, insects, uh, rain from the outside. Because if you're going to use water from the tap, it can contain some chloride that could kill some healthy bacteria. So that's something that I'm not really a fan of. So always use rainwater if you're going to mix it with your compost. There is during the how do you say this? During the dry times, it will keep moist longer inside of the dirt with my chickens. But one more important thing, if you're going to use compost with the chickens, leave always one space open with only the dirt, because if that dirt it gets dry, it's a sand bath for the chickens, so they can lose some of their parasites. So that's something that you need to take in account, that you don't put compost all over your chicken coops. Yeah, and that way you also build stronger chickens, in my opinion. There's a rat walking here. Gonna shoot that one later. All right. Uh, so yeah, these are uh, like I told you before, gardening, gardening, health, uh, fuel bricks, and you get worms for different kind of reasons. These are all the benefits of composting that you can do with it, and it's also keeping you healthy. Like as you can see, all this takes a little bit of longer time, takes some effort, but that also makes me strong because I'm keeping my mind busy. I'm not inside watching Netflix. I'm, to be honest, outside I'm listening to debates and to some to documentaries through my ears, but I'm physically and mentally working on a task, and that could be also be handy during a survival scenario, especially if there is some bug-in scenario, shit hit the fan. You cannot travel or go outside that much, perhaps, or for perhaps certain reasons. So you can stay inside and keep your mind healthy and busy, is what I'm trying to say, and also physically. Um, Another thing I would say is it's good for financial because, like I said, I grow my own food. I have my guinea pigs that only eat grass, hay, and sometimes carrots. I have my chickens who I can save on chicken feed, and I can reuse everything. I don't have to throw anything with garbage disposal, that kind of stuff. And are reusing everything. It is actually like building a legacy and a healthy soil for the next generations, I would say. Because if you're going to put dirt from other places inside of your home to grow your gardening, that sometimes there could get bad things inside of them and it can ruin the soil or get the wrong nutrients. I would say experiment, that's what I did, and it is the vicious way that I'm going to do this, and it is by far now very successful in my opinion. And yeah, I hope this video was a little bit informal. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers.